I have been dreaming of a lens for years. A 24-70mm equivalent cinema zoom lens that is decently compact, has good image quality, while also keeping a great focal range and an f2.8 aperture. There have been some good options that have come close to this, but one of the lenses we are checking out today is probably the closest that I've ever seen. Today we are taking a look at the Laowa Ranger 28-75mm and 75-180mm t2.9 cinema zooms. Before we get into the video, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you want to buy anything you see in this video, or you want to get your hands on the Laowa Ranger lenses, or any other kit for that matter, head over to cvp.com where our experienced team is waiting to help you. We managed to take the lenses down to Richmond with our Alexa Mini LF and film for a couple of hours to really get an idea of what these lenses can do out in the real world. Let us know what you think of the image down below. Physically, the lenses are incredibly compact given their specification. Both are decently short, but the 75-180mm is about a centimetre longer. However, they both weigh the same at roughly 1.4 kilograms or 3.08 pounds, share the same 80mm front diameter for clamp-on matte boxes, and 77mm filter thread for screw-on filters. You have standard 0.8 pitch gears on the focus, iris and zoom barrel, so you can use any standard follow focus equipment. They are also in the same position when mounted on your camera, so you don't have to move anything when swapping between the lenses. Both lenses feature a dual scale with focus markings on the left or operator side being in feet, and on the opposite side you have meters. They feel very solid in the hand, and rotations are decently consistent but not perfect, but for their price they are very good. Since Laowa have started doing Cine lenses, it has been very impressive the level of mechanics and optics that they offer for the price. They have excellent reputation now with their previous lenses, and the Rangers are no different. There will also be a 16-30mm joining the two lenses in the range, which will give you a really nice focal range across the three lenses. You can buy the lenses separately or as a kit. If you get them as a kit, they come in a nice pelly case, which allows you to store and travel with them safely and compactly together in a single case. The lenses come PL mount as standard, but the mount is user interchangeable, which means you can easily swap it over with the included EF mount that also comes in the box. Thanks to them being designed for larger flange mounts, you can easily get them onto pretty much every cinema camera on the market, which makes them incredibly versatile for people using more than one camera system. Laowa have made optional mirrorless mounts for these lenses as well. You can get RF, E, Z or L mount, and they are decently affordable. This could be a good option if you'd rather just change the mount altogether instead of using a lens adapter for PL or EF. I can see these lenses being very popular with Sony E-mount users, so having the option to go native is great. Both of the lenses have a rated image circle of 43.2mm, which will cover plenty of full frame sensors, but let's see how it looks on slightly larger ones. With cameras like the Sony Venice or S1H with their 3x2 open gate mode, the lenses will cover decently but do have some light fall off as you reach the corners of frame. This means that with most full frame cinema cameras, you should be happy with the performance. However, if you plan to use these on one of Red's VistaVision sensors, when using the full width of the sensor, you might run into some vignette at some focal lengths. 8K 16:9 could work for some if you don't mind some light fall off towards the corners. If you want to see exactly how your lenses cover your chosen camera and format, head over to our lens coverage and camera comparison tool, link to which is in the description below. We also wanted to check out if there was any substantial light loss as you zoom through the focal range. We tested this on our Red V Raptor, and as you can see from our waveform, there is only really a slight change on both lenses towards the corners of the frame, which isn't too surprising. However, overall both lenses hold illumination really well as you zoom, even wide open at infinity. One of the biggest reasons to grab a cinema zoom is for their parfocalness, which lots are. A parfocal lens is a zoom lens that can maintain its focus while having its focal length changed, and it is an important feature to many video and cinema shooters. There have been plenty of iconic cinema and documentary shots that would have not been possible if it wasn't for parfocal zoom lenses. And fortunately, the Laowa Ranger zooms perform very well in this regard. You can see them shifting a little bit as you zoom, but performance is very good, and you will easily be able to achieve some interesting shots while holding focus. One awesome feature that these lenses have is the ability to adjust back focus using this ring at the rear of the lens. You can loosen the grub screws around the ring using the included tool. You can then turn the ring to adjust your back focus. This isn't a new concept, as there are plenty of broadcast and cine lenses that have this kind of system, but it is a welcomed one as it makes adjusting your back focus across different cameras and mounts far easier than having to shim your lens, and it's pretty unique at this price point. If you want to learn why you may need to adjust your back focus and how to do so, we made a video going in depth on how to do it, which you can check out here. When it comes to focus breathing, both lenses perform very well. There is definitely some across each of the focal lengths, but not loads. The 28-75 is definitely the better out of the two though, but that's not too surprising. The 28-75mm has a close focus of 49cm or 1 foot 7 inches, and the 75-180mm has a close focus of 75cm or 2 foot 11 inches. These are quite decent numbers for their given focal ranges, so should make them pretty versatile, especially the 28-75. Right, let's look at some bokeh. Starting with the 28-75, bokeh looks nice. It has consistent performance across its focal range with similar behaviours and character that we can see. Shape in the middle is good, though even at T2.9, you can see the 9-blade iris forming our out of focus highlights. But this becomes less obvious towards the telefocal lengths. Bokeh itself has a little bit of texture to it, with a pretty defined edge and a slight glow, which is reduced as you get towards the longer end. It's very clean from aberration throughout the range, even wide open. As you head towards the longer end, the shape of the bokeh becomes more cat's eye, closer to the centre of frame. Though it still can at the wider focal lengths, it's just not quite as extreme. The longer lens behaves slightly differently, though it still has the same slight edge glow, defined edge, and touch of texture to its out of focus highlights. Throughout the range, wide open, the shape of our out of focus highlight is decently round in the middle, but it has heavy cat's eye across the focus range, with it getting worse towards the tele end. This does improve as you stop down though. It doesn't look like the iris blades are forming the bokeh shape wide open, so shape will be slightly different between the two lenses wide open. We can also see some clear aberration from around 85mm onwards, which the wider lens doesn't in comparison. A lens's flare characteristic is an incredibly subjective thing that some may like and some may not. For these examples, we grabbed a torch and blasted it down the barrel of each lens. We tried to keep the torch in the same position, but did move the camera as we changed focal length. When it comes to distortion, the 28-75mm at 28mm has some barrel distortion. However, as you zoom through the range, this slowly corrects at around 45mm and then turns to pincushion distortion from there to the end of the zoom range. The 75-180mm behaves the same but has less distortion overall. So performance across both lenses isn't bad, it's quite light distortion and shouldn't affect your imagery too much. Let's take a look at how the lenses perform on our resolution chart. The 28-75mm performs pretty well. Across its range we can see good centre performance, which does improve as you stop down. In the corners it looks to perform a touch better towards the wide end, but there is still some aberration which is present even when stopped down to T5.6 across the range in the corners. It's pretty impressive given the specifications of the lens how good it performs here. The 75-180mm performs slightly worse than the 28-75, but it still performs really well. Starting at the wide end, it does resolve well in the centre, but bites up as you stop down. There is also some CA here, which sticks around even when stopped down. In the corners, you can also see some CA, and again resolution is alright, but improves as you stop down. At around 135mm, we can see a lot more CA come into the frame. You can also see a reduction of sharpness which holds through till the longer focal lengths as well. The lens is a good bit softer here at the tele end and has the most amount of CA, though it does improve quite drastically as you stop down. It's definitely usable, but if you want the best performance you can get at the longer end, I would really suggest stopping down to T4 if you can. I also wanted to see how much colour shift there is between the two lenses. So for this, we grabbed our rushes that we used for our coverage footage, zoomed in resolve, and then white balanced the footage for each of them. There is a slight difference between them of roughly 200 Kelvin and 0.6 tint. This isn't a massive difference, but it's definitely worth still white balancing when you switch lenses, as it will still be noticeable in post. The DZO film Catta zooms have been on the market since the end of 2021, and are definitely the closest competition to the Laowa Ranger. They are both very similarly priced, but there are some key differences between them. Physically, the Catta are slightly larger than the Rangers, and just a touch heavier. Both of the lens sets have 3 lenses, but the Laowa set does edge it out in focal range. On the mid-range zoom, the extra 7mm at the wide end is a much bigger deal for most shooters than the extra 5mm at the long end the Catta equivalent has, and the difference between the two tele lenses is even more substantial, whereas the wides are a bit more comparable. When it comes to image quality, which you prefer will be up to you, but there are some clear observations that we can make. The bokeh is distinctly different, with the Rangers looking a touch more defined. The Cattas look to be lower contrast overall and do render colour quite differently as well. The Cattas that we used for this test had quite a large difference in colour rendering between them. It's far more pronounced than what we saw with the Ranger zooms. The Ranger 75-180 focus fall off doesn't look quite as nice as the 70-135, but given the fact that it's such a massive range in such a small housing, the performance at the longer end is the compromise here. Overall though, they can both create nice images, and what's best for you will depend on what image you prefer the look of and whether the extra range the Rangers offer is crucial. As of the release of this video, the Cattas are priced cheaper than the Rangers, but I believe that this is a result of a summer sale, so pricing may change, so please check our website for more details and accurate pricing. The Laowa Ranger cinema zooms offer a lot of bang for your buck. They remind me a lot of the Fujinon MK lenses that were very popular with the FS5 and FS7 a few years ago, due to their good image quality and small and lightweight design. And I can see these lenses being very popular with Sony's existing FX series of cameras. At roughly £3,000 per lens, they offer an incredibly good blend of a well-constructed and compact housing, versatile focal ranges, and nice neutral image quality. Autofocus lenses have never been so popular, but manual focus lenses really do still have their place in the market. The optics may not be as clean and sharp as the native stills lenses from Sony or Canon, but not everyone wants perfect optics and autofocus, and I think the look the Rangers give you is more modern than vintage, but they still have a little bit of character to them. Lenses are always an incredibly personal choice, so if you are seriously considering buying these, I would suggest reaching out to us to book a demo today, where you can come into our offices and get your hands on the lenses yourself. Details about that are down below. Anyway, let us know what you think of the Ranger zooms, and if you have any further questions down in the comments below. And if you like the video, please give it a like, and maybe consider subscribing so you don't miss out on our awesome upcoming content. And thank you so much for watching.